being called Frankenstein opioids, and as these new drugs make their way across the country, the opioid epidemic is beginning to sound more like a horror movie than reality.
Nitazines are a powerful group of illicit opioids. Basically, they were created about 60 years ago as a potential pain reliever medication. However, they were never approved for use within the United States.
There are several different nitazine compounds, meaning that there are multiple possibilities and combinations for the drugs, which can be anywhere from 2 to 40 times more potent than fentanyl. It's also much cheaper to manufacture than fentanyl. The chief medical officer for Crossroads Treatment Center says while they haven't seen any in South Carolina yet, they also don't currently have the means to test for it. But these endless possibilities of drugs are his biggest concern.
That's the sort of thing that worries me about the future, is this continuous evolution of new compounds that we're just not familiar with.
Since nitazines are a type of opioid, Narcan does work on them, but due to its increased strength, multiple Narcans may have to be used. However, that's not the only treatment. Dr. Causey said the medical-assisted treatments are the most effective intervention for opioid disorder, especially when paired with counseling. But access to treatments is key.
Different modalities of treatment are going to work for different patients. One size does not fit all. So we need to make sure as many of those modalities are as easy to access as possible.
Now, we also reached out to South Carolina's Attorney General Alan Wilson about Frankenstein opioids. His office provided us with this statement, quote, "Opioids and fentanyl and the crimes associated with them continue to be the biggest problem facing law enforcement in South Carolina and across the country."
Mike, thank you for that. Now, the chief medical officer at Crossroads also told us that funding is crucial to the opioid crisis. Earlier this week, the CDC announced money for 2 new programs to combat overdoses. Dr. Causey says that all the funding coming in has been extremely helpful, but people also need to remain aware and supportive.
The biggest thing is for the public to stay aware that this continues to be a problem. There are still South Carolinians dying of this treatable disease. So they need to be supportive of funding for treatment.
In 2021, there were 2,200 drug overdoses in South Carolina. That was up from the prior year. 80% of those were from opioids.